Hello. Why is that light still so bright? That's way better. I wish there was a dark mode on this streaming thing that I use, though. I feel like that contributes to the bright light also. Wait for people to pop in. Get the tea bag out of my teacup. So I can adjust the camera. I got time. Whoa. Okay, there was quite a delay on it catching up here. Okay, hey Felix, popping in to pop out. Hey Jacques. Oh, thank you. It's like half set, half regular room. I really should do the entire room so that this doesn't happen and it just looks all cool behind me instead of half cool. Hey Marielle. Hello. Justin, hello. Join on everyone to pop in. We'll play our little game. And then I feel like we have a lot to discuss with these two novellas. So and in case you missed it, because I know everyone's kind of popping in, I'll drop it in the chat again. Even if you just want to save it for later, I made just a quick little Google form. So you guys can submit ideas for 2023 Creepy Book Club. I'll share it other places as well, so you don't have to worry if you don't have anything in your brain yet that you can think of. I'll share it other places, but you guys get first dibs, obviously. So that's what that is. It's also at the top of the chat. Hey, Melissa. Only read one of the books. That's okay. That's kind of the beauty of reading too, I guess. So don't worry. Only read Carmilla. Martin also only read Carmilla, so you're okay. Mariel also only read Carmilla. Okay, did anybody also read the Ballad of Black Tom? I feel like Des will probably help me out here. The Ballad of Black Tom. Oh, Melissa also. Oh, Melissa, that was the one you read, was Black Tom. Okay, cool. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, then we got our bases covered. It was like my 7th read through of Carmilla. I love that. Des has also read both, but a while back. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I have a lot to say about the Ballad of Black Tom also, so I just at least if at least somebody also read it this month, then we're good. Okay. Let's play the game really quick just to warm us up here. I do have the gore board here. We're nearing the end. And a lot of you Creepy Book Club peeps are up at the top here. So I don't know what I'm going to do if there's a 3-way tie for 3rd place, but maybe I'll just give a bunch of prizes. Because right now we have a tie for 1st. I guess it's a 3-way tie for 2nd place, I guess, technically speaking. And then another 3-way tie for 3rd place. Wow. All right, I do have a game. I don't know how difficult this is going to be. I feel like I say that every single time. But because one of the books we read was Carmilla, and just a small tiny thing with Carmilla is that Carmilla is constantly changing her name, and it's always an anagram of her name. I made anagrams of 3 book titles, and you guys are going to guess what the book titles are. Because that might be a little difficult, or it just might take everybody a second to try and figure it out, I will start you off with a hint. That goes for all 3 of them. All 3 of them are books that we read this year for Creepy Book Club. So just in 2022, I didn't go too far back. So they are all books we have read for Creepy Book Club this year, 2022. So yeah, Carmilla's really creative with her with her different names. And yet nobody catches her for a long time. So so it works. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first anagram. I will give you hints if it is too difficult. And if it's really too difficult, I'll just do what I did last time and everybody here gets a point. Okay. This is your first anagram. Again, these are books that we read this year for Creepy Book Club. We did read this. Ads marketers yet. Harder than it looks to create a. Apparently vampires can't change the letters in their names, just the order. She really was like, I can't be bothered to pick a new name every time, so. Marielle, brilliant job. Awesome. Yes, you are correct. My dearest darkest. That was the first one. I should have had something ready to write down points. Okay. Great job, Marielle. That puts you in first place. You and Jacques were tied there, so that firmly puts you in first place. Nice job. Okay. Second one. Acid Heathen. That's your second anagram. Looking at you two, Alucard is Dracula backwards. They really can't be fucked to pick a different name. Or maybe it's like part of the game, like these mortals are too stupid to figure it out, so I'm just gonna make an alter ego name that's just an anagram of my name. Now that sounds like a good band. Acid Heathen, yeah. Anyone have any guesses for Acid Heathen? Looking forward to the new Acid Heathen album. If I ever create a band, this is going to be the name. I can give a hint if it helps. This one actually, I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know if this one's going to be a little tricky or not, or if this was mean to pick this book title. Do we need a hint? Hint, please. Okay. The first word is the. First word is the. Hey, Melissa. There you go. The hacienda. That, I thought about it as I put it. I was like, maybe that was mean. Because you might not think of that one first necessarily. And I can't remember if there's any accent marks in that. And that was definitely not in the anagram. So I apologize. Good job, Melissa. The hacienda. Yes. Okay, I have one more. Okay, this wasn't as tricky as I thought it was going to be. So, okay. I was worried for a second. I was like, this game might take too long. Okay, last one. A dished knee. Not as great of a band name as Acid Heathen. I was going to give a hint that I was like, Marielle, you should know this one specifically, but that I feel like that would make me biased because that would put you even more in the lead. If you didn't get it after that was going to be my next hint, that Marielle in particular should be getting this. A dished knee. I realized something about the anagrams too, that I will share in a second because it might give it away. What Acid Heathen's first single, Addition-y, out soon. Addition-y. Just let me know if you guys want a hint. You guys are good at this so far. So if you need a hint, just let me know. I got you. Is that nope? Nope, you don't need a hint? Oh, hint. Okay. The second word is and. Like A-N-D. And. Are these new thrillers? No, these are all books that we have read this year for Creepy Book Club. Second word is and. Second word is and. All books that we've read before. We had a really good discussion about this one in particular, I remember. Hey, Karnstein. Hey, you made it. Yeah, it's the last question of the game. Do we need another hint? Oh, more people popping in. See, this is why I play a game. Do you need another hint? I didn't think this one was going to be the more tricky one, huh? I feel like I can feel Marielle like scribbling away like at a piece of paper. I'm not cheating, so I can't guess it. Are you saying that you would only get it if you were cheating? No idea. So first hint was the second word is and. Your second hint is that this is also the name of a game that you might play as a kid or as an adult, I guess. I'm not going to judge. Hey, there it is, Marielle. Hide and seek. Great job. You are firmly in the lead now. All right. We have a clear first place and a clear second place now. So I will update that gore board. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to keep that. There we go. Yep, it was hide and seek. Good job. I will update that later. Remembered it as only hide. Oh, was it only hide? Oh, shit. You know what? Marielle, you get an extra point for calling that out. I made it extra hard. Shit. I'm sorry. You right. It was just called hide. I was like, yeah, it was a game of hide and seek. It's called hide and seek. You're right. Marielle gets an extra point for calling me out. Vicky, I gaslit myself. And the best part of that too is I was sitting in my bedroom coming up with I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the game. I was looking at my bookshelf too and picking the books out. So I looked right at it. That's like next level gaslighting. Like I did that shit to myself. All right. Yeah, okay. That was my bad. So which one do we want to start with, y'all? We want to start with the Ballad of Black Tongue or Carmilla first? Which one are we You guys have a preference? Want me to pick? I don't know if I earned the right to pick after. I can't believe I did that. I looked right at the book too. I'm like, yep, it's called Hide and Seek. God. Never would have picked that one if I'd gotten the title right. Never got to Carmilla, which is a shame because I would have liked to read something good. Does that mean you didn't like the Ballad of Black Tom? Could start with Uncle Tom. It's called the Ballad of Black Tom. Marielle, we get book titles right in Creepy Book Club, okay? Oh, I didn't notice until it was literally like 2 days ago. I didn't notice. Somebody has it up on YouTube. I didn't actually listen to it on YouTube, so I don't know if it's like a legit audiobook, but sorry. Thank you. Okay, so Marielle says she wants to know what the Ballad of Black Tom is about. So let's get into it. This one is a doozy. So first and foremost, The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle is like a retelling or reimagining, I guess. Damn it, I should have my notes up because I have the title here. This is a retelling, if you will, of a story by H.P. Lovecraft titled, hang on, what's it called? The Horror at Red Hook is the name of the Lovecraft story. And in case you didn't know, I'm gonna tell you now. H.P. Lovecraft, super racist dude, super xenophobic dude. So this is kind of a fun retelling because this is written by a Black man. And I like to think that H.P. Lovecraft is just rolling in his grave wherever the fuck he is about that, and that makes me really happy. Is that a Lovecraft story you haven't read? Apparently, I've never read The Horror at Red Hook. I've only tried to read anything Lovecraft once, and I think it was for Does This Offend You when we talked about The Color Out of Space, which was I'm sorry, I just could not get through it. Apparently, according to the internet, The Horror at Red Hook. Yes, thank you, Karnstein. I said it sucked. The internet is like pretty much in agreement that like The Horror at Red Hook is like one of his worst stories. And not just because of the like blatant like xenophobia and racism in it, but because it's just like really poorly written. Like it's just like the actual story itself is just like a mess. So oh, mine didn't have one. Oh, I wish I had your edition. Mine didn't have an afterword. That's a shame. I mean, he dedicated it to H.P. Lovecraft, and he wrote for H.P. Lovecraft with all my conflicted feelings. And I did read a little bit. It was a interview, I think, like on NPR or something with LaValle, who was talking about like reading H.P. Lovecraft when he was growing up, and like when he was a young kid, he didn't notice a lot of the blatant racism. But then when he went back and reread it at like 15 or 16, I think he cited that that stuff was a lot more apparent to him than when he was like 9 or 10 reading that stuff. And so he, has a lot of conflicted feelings. If there's any fun quotes or anything you want to share with us about this too, I'd love to hear it because mine didn't have an afterword. Currently watching Color Out of Space. Yeah, Black Tom does it a little bit better. Let's see, the author has spoken about this. He grew up loving Lovecraft. Yeah, I read that same NPR article. There was like an interview with him. Yeah. No, all good. All good. Yeah, so that's kind of the beauty of this. But I feel like Lovecraft stories are hard to describe because there's not, I mean, I don't want to say there's not much of a plot, but we're really just following this man, Charles Thomas Tester, who later calls himself Black Tom. But he's just trying to make ends meet to support himself and his father, and he gets involved with this very eccentric man, I guess we'll say, is like the nice way to put it. Robert Sudiam. I'm not even really sure how you say that guy's name. Who is like really obsessed with like other planes of existence and shit like that. And kind of like releasing the Sleeping King, which I think is supposed to be Cthulhu. Black Tom mentions him by name at the end of the book. So I haven't read a lot of Lovecraft. Maybe somebody can tell me in the comments if the Sleeping King is actually supposed to be Cthulhu. But that's what like this Sudiam guy's like goal is to like wake him up or whatever and give him control over our world again. Yeah, and then the book ultimately ends with Black Tom being the one to release Cthulhu. Yeah, you definitely weren't. Oh, you returned it to the library. Okay. Dang. I'll have to find that edition though, because I'd love to read that afterward. Yeah. It's a really, I don't want to say fun, but it's a really brilliant, I think, juxtaposition because he's instantly turning the OG story on its head by making the protagonist one not white, which again I'm convinced that it's something Lovecraft would have hated. And it's split into two POVs. So the original story, The Horror at Red Hook, is completely from the point of view of a police officer, Malone, who is in this book, and the latter half of the book is from Malone's point of view, and the first half is from Charles Tester's point of view. But I feel like that's the key point to the juxtaposition, because we see Tester's point of view and him facing obviously all this systemic racism. This is taking place in the 1920s. It's like 1924 or something like that. I can't remember if they gave an exact year, but it's the 20s. And then we switch to Malone's point of view, which is super interesting because like it's really interesting. It's when all the shit starts to go down, things start getting weird, and they're opening portals to other worlds. Malone sees the Sleeping King, but he almost, not that he accepts like seeing these monsters, but he's almost just as horrified and like can't accept that Tester, a black man, could be in charge and not the white man. Suidam, probably saying that wrong. Suidam, I can't. It's like Suydam. I don't know how they pronounce it. But it's like a glimpse of an African American man in charge of his own destiny, which is as much of a threat to Malone's worldview as is a glimpse of like elder gods. Which I think is brilliant, especially given H.P. Lovecraft's like blatant racism. I was reading a few things from other people who were, I don't say like associated with Lovecraft at the time. His wife at the time, I don't know if he ever married anybody else or whatever. I don't know anything about his life because not interested. Said like when they were walking in the streets of New York together, and he saw like people of color that, like, you know, if they were going to like pass him on the sidewalk, he would legit like walk in the middle of the road so as not to like be near them when he walked past them. And so I feel like creating a scenario in which this like white cop is like equally as horrified that this black man is in charge as he is like seeing Cthulhu or whoever is hilarious and brilliant because it fits perfectly. I did read that the Horror at Red Hook, the original story, was kind of based on Lovecraft's time in New York. I guess he moved to New York in 1924 to marry Sonia Green. And he found that his initial infatuation with New York was soured because he is racist. Because he's racist. And I have some quotes here. So this is a quote from Lovecraft talking about his inspiration for the book. So he says, "The idea that black magic exists in secret today, or that hellish antique rites still exist in obscurity, is one that I have used and shall use again. When you see my new tale, The Horror at Red Hook, you will see what I make of the idea in connection with the gangs of young loafers and herds of evil-looking foreigners that one sees everywhere in New York." Ugh. Yeah. And Sonia Green, who I guess he was married to for however long, spoke about this. I don't know at what point. I don't know exactly when this quote is from, but she says, quote, "Whenever we found ourselves in the racially mixed crowds which characterize New York, Howard," H.P. Lovecraft, "would become livid with rage. He seemed almost to lose his mind." Which is kind of like what happens at the end of the book, really. Malone really loses his mind. It is Cthulhu. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's like, I'm going to keep calling him Cthulhu anyway, because that's the only monster I know associated with Lovecraft. But I was like, Tester calls him by name. He says the words Cthulhu. So that's, it's only one time. But so immersed in the story, and I've never read Lovecraft. I like how LaValle took the lore and made it his own. Yes, I think it's a really, in such a short book, it's a really brilliant retelling of it. I think it works more when you know at least a little bit about the original story. Again, I didn't read the original story, and I'm not going to. I just, read a summary and read the inspiration like I just shared with you, just to get an idea of what the original story was. I think that makes the book a little more richer when you know that. I don't know if it would work in the same way not knowing that. Although I also don't know if anyone would really like seek this out without knowing that it's a take on a Lovecraft story, because it would just be like a random mention of Cthulhu in a book. Oh, thank you, Kernstein, for sharing. The Horror at Red Hook spends a lot of time describing how terrible it is that there's non-white people around. It's as infuriating to read as it is boring. Yeah. So, I mean, props to LaValle for at least making the story interesting and not racist. Props for that. Yeah. I just think I think it worked really well knowing that going into it. I don't know if it works the same way if you don't know. Which, I mean, at least some of you have kind of shared that's like you didn't know anything about it anyway, and you're just immersed in the story. The other world stuff kind of confuses me, though. I feel like that's that's the thing with like this like cosmic horror when it's in short form like this. They're just like, I feel like they're kind of just quickly mentioning, yeah, he opens the door of the library and he's looking into somewhere else, and when they see Cthulhu also through doorways and stuff like that. It's so quick when it happens in here where I'm like, wait a second. So it really feels like this is something like probably people that are familiar with Lovecraft would want to read anyway, because it's very clearly based on his work, at least when you get to the latter half of the book. I would hope so, Jacques. I would hope so. Yeah, there's lots of examples in his writing, not just the horror at Red Hook, to prove that he is not a good person. I would have enjoyed this as a longer novel with more detail. I think because I feel like it really relies on you being familiar with Lovecraft shit to, and not just like him being racist and shit like that, but just being familiar with some of the lore that comes along with Lovecraft's like writings. Yeah. Knowing the backstory makes it more impactful. However, I found this both compelling and cathartic in its own right. Especially the end too, when because I really didn't know how it was gonna resolve after he wakes up this Cthulhu. He wakes up the Sleeping King. But again, I also don't know how this stuff works, because it's kind of like he's like, Chester's like, well, at some point he's gonna come back and take over the world. I guess he just opened the door. Is that what happened? He created the doorway. It's just kind of like, okay, he can come through whenever now. So at any point in time, Cthulhu is just gonna come and take over the world. Unless I misunderstood that. Probably better to say I didn't know what was going on. I need the characters and the story is fleshed out more. Yeah. Normally I don't have problems with novellas like this, but again, I just think it really relies on you already knowing some stuff. It ended and I get very okay, and yeah, I guess there's maybe just supposed to be some, a little bit of like dread there that like, oh, at some point he's gonna come tear down destroy the world, I guess. It's nice of you to recommend. I am not going to read any Lovecraft. I'll just go ahead and tell you. If that's a Lovecraft story, I'm not going to read it. I have zero interest in reading H.P. Lovecraft. I read the one story for Does This Offend You, and this is probably as close as I will get to it. Yeah, I don't really have any interest in reading his books, or his stories, I should say. Hey, Lovecraft and Seek. Lovecraft and Seek. Yeah, so I thought this was a great read, knowing the inspiration where it came from. I don't know if I'd feel the same way if I didn't bother to look it up, or I just didn't know. I'd probably be really confused if I didn't know that this was like Lovecraft, and I'd be like, what the fuck is a Cthulhu or whatever. Has more impact if you're familiar with the Call of Cthulhu, which I'm not at all. So yeah. So I thought it was great knowing the backstory. If you want to, I just gave it a 5 out of 5. I think the numbers are arbitrary, but if you guys want to share what you guys thought overall and your ratings of it, please do. And then we'll move on to Carmilla. We've never done 2 books before, so make sure not to wax poetic too much about how much of a racist Lovecraft was, and move on to the gay stuff. I'm not going to read any Lovecraft at all. No interest. I could barely get through that one, whatever the story Color Out of Space was based on. I can't remember if it's the same, the short story is the same name. God, I tried to read that for Does This Offend You? And it was boring. It was boring. By Victor LaValle, I've read The Changeling, and it's one of my favorite horror books ever. It's fantastic. That one's a full-on novel, much more folklore based, no Lovecraft that I could detect. So, would highly recommend The Changeling by Victor LaValle. It's one of my favorites. Should watch In Praise of Shadows video on Lovecraft. It goes in depth on his views, his life, and how to reconcile mixed feelings over his work. I don't know if I need the latter half of it, but that would be an interesting watch for sure. It was a 4 out of 5, 4.5. Sorry for me. I thought the social commentary was great, even without getting all the Lovecraft references. Yeah. And luckily it's really just at the end a little bit there. So going into it, it's more just like, there's kind of like this vague notion of like otherworldliness. People are into like arcane magic and shit. And, and there's racism. And that's, it's a lot easier to digest the first half of the book for sure. Gave it a 2.5. Lovecraft is too wordy. Amen. 5 out of 5. The horror of a black man with power. Yes. In the eyes of this white cop is on par with an elder god. A black man with power. Cthulhu, same amount of scary. Love that comparison. I think that's the best part of the book, honestly. Same name as Color Out of Space. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. That's how much I wanted to like block out reading that. Pretty sure Guillermo del Toro is a big part of In Praise of Shadows, which is another reason to watch it. Sold. You should have led with that one. Bought The Changeling. I would love to hear what you think when you finish it. I fucking loved that book, honestly. I thought it was so great. Absolutely fantastic. And I think they were supposed to be making a show. I don't know if it ever got made. It's only on Apple TV, which I do not have because I don't have any Apple products. And I don't think I can get a subscription to Apple TV without one, without like the special Apple email. But I think they were supposed to be making a show out of The Changeling. I don't know if it ever happened. Oh, I understand. Oh, okay. He's a YouTuber. Then what part is Guillermo del Toro part of in this? I want that one. Oh, a different documentary on Lovecraft. Okay. Gotcha. I'll look up both. Okay, I'll look up both. If you tell me Del Toro is part of it, I'm gonna watch it. Literally before this stream started, I was watching his Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. Okay, Carmilla, Mircalla, all the anagrams. Carmilla. Let's get into this one. Oh, it's on Prime. Okay. Might check it out. I love a good documentary, even if the subject is infuriating. All right, but let's move on to Carmilla here because we do have another book to talk about, and I know a lot of you guys read it. Let's get into the gay shit. In case anybody is just hanging out and you just want to hear what it's about, this is a vampire tale. Basically, a young woman comes to stay with our protagonist, Laura, and her father, and weird things start happening. Carmilla acts a little strange. She sleeps in super duper late, goes out at night, locks herself in her room. Weird things start happening. Turns out she's a vampire. And that's it. It's a novella. Okay, it's really short. Ooh, your favorite book of all time. I mean, given your username, that makes sense. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your nightmare fuel. Thank you for this book club. I love reading stuff I might have never picked up otherwise. Yay! That makes me so happy. It really does. It really, yeah. Okay. All right. This is great. I don't know how to take compliments well, but thank you. The OG vampire is a lesbian. This is true. This predates Dracula, which is most likely, probably, definitely the most famous vampire story ever. But Carmilla predates that by a good number of years, actually. Thank you, Mario. She drinks cocoa at like 1. So strange. But that's all she has after she's slept in until 1 or 2 p.m. Only know the story through old Hammer movies. No idea. I feel like the Vampire Lovers is pretty close. It's not super far off. 3 different editions of Carmilla. Yeah, the one that we get at work, that's like the easiest to get at work, is edited by Carmen Maria Machado, who has a very interesting introduction to this book, I do have to say. So she talks about how the story that Sheridan Fanu wrote was actually based on like real letters, apparently. Hold on, I'll pull up the name of this person here so I can get this correct. I have it in a banner here somewhere. Okay, so in the introduction, Carmen Maria Machado is talking about this scholar, Dr. Jane Lee, not sure how to say that, who believed and may have found like proof via letters that Laura and Dr. Hesselius, also not sure how to say that. That's who Laura is writing to, these accounts of what happened to her. She believed they were pseudonyms for real figures. Veronica Housel, I'm going to butcher the names, and Dr. Peter. I'm just going to call him Dr. Peter. The names are tricky, okay? But I thought that was super duper interesting. And so the introduction is a lot of like talking about some of the different things that this Veronica wrote about. Do I have her name in a banner here somewhere? Yes, about the real Carmilla, who was Marcia Marin, who was a young Spanish-Cuban aristocrat. Some of the things, I guess this scholar found, like, found these writings, found these letters. The way Veronica writes about this, like, Marcia is... it's pretty fucking gay. It's pretty fucking gay. So I mean, Veronica was writing like specifically of her own desire. Like she spoke not of the fear for Carmilla's return, but Carmilla's return, but a profound desire for it. That's a quote from the introduction, Carmen Maria Machado. The next two quotes I want to share are actual quotes from these letters. I know this is confusing with a lot of names. I'm sorry. Sorry, all the names. Veronica's the real Laura, apparently. Real Laura, apparently. These are actual quotes from her letters to this doctor, which is apparently what this book is based on. So Veronica writes, and I quote, "I long for the door to open. I long to feel her run along my skin like so much smoke. I long to make her take me to places where she went at night. Together we would be lonely no more." She also writes, and this quote is actually in Carmilla, like Le Fanu just pulled this one directly, probably from somewhere. My heart beat faster, my breathing rose and fell rapidly, then a sobbing that rose into a sense of strangulation and turned into a dreadful convulsion, aka an orgasm. That was my own note there. And finally, there's more quotes in this introduction. It's fascinating. I descended the valley of her over and over until neither of us could locate our breath. Girl, that's gay as fuck. That shit's gay. Marcia. Like that, Marcia. Laura's dad misreads Carm's name as Marcia. I love that you write Carm too. As Marcia at one point in the book. See? I feel like there's something to this. I feel like the scholar, this Dr. Jane Leet, is onto something. Genuinely. Absolutely. And he misreads Mircalla as Marcia. It's all together. It was real. I don't know if this Marcia was actually a vampire. I think probably Le Fanu probably made that shit up, but does she, like Carmilla? Historians say they were very good friends. Yeah, that one quote that Le Fanu just directly put into Carmilla. Like this is also just a direct quote of the book Carmilla. If you think that's anything other than an orgasm, I hate to be the one to tell you. They had the hots for each other, okay? The Carmilla series brain rot. It's a great web series. It is a great web series. Super cute. Gal pals. Yes, they were gal pals. I just found that intro fascinating, and that was just something about Carmilla, which even though this was my first time actually reading it, seen so many movie adaptations, seen the web series, and the movie that followed the web series, all that stuff. I never saw anybody talking about ever that the author may have taken this inspiration from actual letters, which I think is really fascinating, especially given the time this was written. Just further proof that gay people have been around forever and ever. Sponsored by Lindt Chocolate. Okay. I just thought that was fascinating. Other than that, it's a interesting book. I feel like it's a pretty straightforward vampire story at the end. Unfortunately, the evil has to be defeated, but it's definitely gay. But y'all think Laura knows it's gay? I mean, she seems a little oblivious, but she's also, I feel like, pretty open about her affection for Carmilla, at least in her thoughts. Like she does really care for this girl. That's it's always wild to me in these stories. Like literally she just has a carriage accident outside of Laura's home, and then they take her in, and she's just like so desperate for companionship that she's like, yeah. Yes, like I deeply care about you now, and they haven't known each other that long, but even so, for like having just met, there's a lot. I don't know, Laura I feel like mentions a lot like how beautiful Carmilla is also. So I feel like maybe the only thing she's oblivious about is that she gay a little bit, And that could explain, I feel like maybe some of the revulsion, because I feel like even when Laura is thinking about like genuinely like thinking about how attracted she is to Carmilla, there is like the revulsion there, which is supposed to kind of be coming from the fact that Carmilla is a vampire. So it could genuinely be this, that she is realizing her queerness. So maybe she's afraid a little bit of those feelings, and Carmilla represents those feelings that she's having. I mean, it's not easy being gay now, let alone back in the day when this was taking place. So that could also be it. I think Laura goes to great lengths to try and rationalize the fact that she's attracted to Carmilla, but doesn't really seem to be able to admit gay people exist. I mean, nobody in this book really admits that gay people exist either, but that would be extremely ahead of its time in this book, I think. But I love that. It's like when you first think you might be attracted to the same gender and your brain is like, denial. Yes. Yes, can absolutely relate to that. TMI, but for a while I just thought I was like super horny, like legit. Like my brain was trying to like jump through all of these like hoops to rationalize it. And it's like, the easy explanation is just like, girl, you gay. I'm always really interested in the part where Laura wonders if Carmilla's secretly a boy in disguise to flirt with her. I agree with that interpretation. It very much reads as an internalized homophobia or just super sheltered confusion. Definitely, it could be a little bit of both, because I think Laura is super duper sheltered. Like, clearly the girl does not get out much and she just relies on other people coming to visit her for entertainment. I can relate to trying to rationalize my own queer feelings as something else. Yeah. And that could just be something that, I don't know. I can't speak to whether the author intentionally put that in there. It's not impossible, because queer people existed back then also. So it's not impossible. And I don't know much about the author. So that could have been the intended purpose. That could have not been the intended purpose. But we're just interpreting the book too, and that's also valid. We can only interpret it based on our own experiences. So we're finding similar feelings in the book, and that's also valid. So with this coming before Dracula, is it possible Stoker read it and Lucy and Mina's relationship is lightly inspired by this? Possible. Again, I didn't do much research on Dracula's relationship to this. So I genuinely don't know, but it is possible. It's like Laura clearly is attracted to Carmilla and is aware that she's super into her, but just can't cross that mental block. Yeah, and Carmilla's super forward about it. So, which also might just further kind of run with this interpretation that we've kind of started going with here, or just that we're exploring here. That scares her also, because Carmilla is very forward about it, literally saying stuff to her like, we're going to be together forever. All this like, romantic shit that maybe is a little scary when it's coming from a vampire, because being together forever means something different to a vampire. But Stoker 100% read this. I feel like that tracks. He was like, oh man, am I going to take this idea? It happens. It's amazing the length our brain will go to refuse or acknowledge you're not straight. Yep. Especially when you've had it like beat into your brain by society, media, etc., etc. For sure. Always read Lucy and Mina as queer, but doubt that was the intention. I thought, Hold on, I'm gonna Google before I start talking, just in case I was thinking of the wrong person. Okay, so it is a thing on the internet, at least, that Bram Stoker may have been gay, closeted, for probably most likely closeted. Um, I may have seen it mentioned briefly in Queer for Fear, which is out on Shudder. It's a docu series. I wanted to just pull that up to make sure in case. So I don't know. It's a thing. I don't think I have time to read this entire article really quick to give you guys the down and dirty on it, but it's a thing. It's a rabbit hole people have dove down, apparently, that he may have been gay. So I don't know. Or again, it could just be people interpreting his work based on their own experiences, and it's, and they do talk about Dracula because the vampires used a lot, at least to convey eroticism on levels, romantic, sexual, all, vampires are all those things. Carmilla's like, hey there, I'm super gay, want to live together all eternity. She was just ahead of her time, she's thriving right now. Carmilla is thriving in 2022. She is thriving in 2022. For me, I rationalized gender envy as being sexual or romantic attraction. Then I realized I was aromantic, asexual. Watched Carmilla and then had to deal with some feelings. I love that it was Carmilla. Bram Stoker was a screaming queen. Okay, so yeah, I remember hearing it, and it was like just in passing. I haven't like read too much into it to see like what exactly people are like citing as like, here is the definitive proof that Bram Stoker was gay. Just trying to read through this article really quick. I guess I guess he maybe wrote some romantic letters to Walt Whitman. That's interesting. Love that. Okay, interesting. Okay. There's a lot of quotes here, but yeah, I would definitely recommend just a quick Google search and you can find some of these quotes. And yeah, interesting. Yeah, that too. I was gonna say Dracula and Jonathan do have tension. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that it was okay. Thank you for confirming. That's where I heard that. Yeah, I feel like if it's a vampire story, people are going for queer coded. And I think honestly, it probably is because it is stemming from Carmilla and Dracula, genuinely. To where like now everything, like if it's vampire or anything, we're gonna find the queer parts of it for sure. From what I've read, Jonathan is possibly a self-insert. Oh, and Dracula was Stoker's unrequited love. Interesting. That's very interesting. Wouldn't call the letters romantic, more like horny. Well, the first quote I read was quite romantic. The first quote I read, I feel like was more romantic than anything, but LGBT own the rainbows and the vampires for sure. I love that we own the vampires. Does anyone remember the Shakespeare quote in the beginning of Carmilla. Apparently, it's a reference to. I don't know if I remember there being a Shakespeare quote. Like, does somebody say it towards the beginning? Because I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Yeah, if somebody just says it like in the first chapter somewhere, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, but there's no quote to like start off the book that I see. The effect loneliness has on someone. I mean, for sure, too. I mean, I feel like Laura ignores a lot of things because she's definitely profoundly lonely for sure. And Carmilla also. That's a big part of it also. They're both super duper lonely. Carmilla also is out to drink people's blood, so that's another motivation, but kind of interesting that both Fanu and Stoker are Irish. There's likely some cultural connections to Irish folklore and stories in both books. I didn't know Fanu was also Irish. I really should have looked more into this author, genuinely. Oh, thank you. In truth, I know not why I'm so sad. It wearies me. You say it wearies you, but how I got it came by it. Huh. The bike. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably why I couldn't find it right away. Hard to find that in a. Laura loves telling us how lonely she is in her castle full of servants. Well, her only other two, I guess, friends, as we could say, La Fontaine and I just want to call her Perry. They seem to be more interested in not conversing with Laura like ever. And they just talk amongst themselves. And then Laura's dad is just like, bring me young women to be friends with my daughter. Thank you. By disaster Shakespeare. Oh my God. Okay. Ooh, it's already 10 o'clock. Okay. I think what we all got out of this book is how gay it was. And I think that was the purpose. Because genuinely, like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, as a vampire story, I'm like, this is pretty straightforward. Again, I feel like the vampire lovers pretty much like gets every event almost that happens in this book to a T. It's a pretty good interpretation. I feel like it's pretty straightforward, but it's like, it's as I'm reading it, I'm just like gay, 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 gay. I read Carmilla in the context of Le Fanu's collection In a Glass Darkly this time around. All the stories are framed as notes of Dr. Hesselius. Never going to get that name right. That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, other than that, it was, yeah. I do kind of wish there was more notes from Carmen Maria Machado, though. Although she knocked it out of the park with that fucking introduction. I was like, holy fuck. Holy shit. No idea that it was based on something real. Bertha, whose last name, wait, hold on. What's her last name? Because I feel like further proof that Bram Stoker read this and is like, I'm going to take this. Hold on. I thought it was like something close to like Renfield, right? I'm going to find it. Oh, here it is. Reinfeldt? Reinfeldt? It's like super duper close to to Renfield. Like again, I feel like Bram Stoker was like, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna make it obvious that I copied you." Like, yeah, that's her last name, I think, right? Do we think Carmilla is intended to be a reluctant vampire? She's usually either interpreted as super tragic or pure manipulative evil. Hmm. Hmm. I'm trying to decide if my answer is just what I want Carmilla to be. I'm genuinely trying to decide if my answer is just what I want her to be. Because I feel like she was more tragic in this, but we also don't get a lot. We don't get a lot of Carmilla. And it's all through Laura's point of view anyway. So this is Laura's interpretation of like her retelling of how Carmilla was acting at the time. 'Cause she's writing this in retrospect. But even then, it never really seems like Laura is like she is a straight up monster, and I hate her. That's also see, that's why I agree. I'm an unapologetic vampire simp. So like, I want her to just be tragic. Um, yeah, she's not a good character, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would definitely fall under her spell and would believe her. She's like, I want to be with you for eternity. And all she really wanted to do was just drain me dry. And then, kill me, which I would let her, but when portrayed as pure manipulative evil, it's clearly a case of queer coded villain. The text reads a queer from a contemporary POV. However, I think interpretations and adaptations in media have focused on Carmilla as an evil predator. For the most part, the like stuff like Vampire Lovers definitely makes her more of a predator than anything. But there's some other ones that I feel like really, really kind of capture the balance in this one where it's like maybe she's not the best character, but she's also she's not like evil incarnate either. Like there's one, I think it's just called Carmilla. There's really no vampirism at all. They kind of run with like the symbolism of like vampirism just being like being symbolic of being gay. So they kind of take the vampireness out of the movie. Carmilla is always whatever. Yeah, I think since she's such a good balance, it could just be whatever you want her to be. There's room for all of that in there. Honestly, quite tragic, but still gaslights the hell out of Laura. I love that we all admit that, like, we're all biased towards the vampire, okay? You know what? She does have a real way with words. I would 100% simp for that. Fall under a spell and be like, yeah, whatever. Bite me. If you're going to kill me, at least I'll go out happy. Very interesting that, yes, that's a good point. Yeah. Her other victims seem to have died much quickly, but Laura lives for months with her for sure. Although I guess we don't know for sure how long she was with all of her victims, because I feel like back in the day when you like paid somebody a visit like this, you were staying for a long time. Obsessed with Carmilla adaptations. Before I die, I need to have seen all of them. It's almost like you can be a multi-dimensional being with depth. This is true. Tragic reluctance. Seems to really love Laura and somewhat forced to kill by the man in black. That is true. Yeah, at the end, they do really force her hand. For sure. At least compared to some of the other ones I've seen, I feel like that's probably the most skewed toward her being a monster. At least out of the ones I've seen, for sure. I haven't watched all of the Carmilla adaptations, so. You notice I tend to find the ones that are like the most romantic. I don't think I've seen the Blood Spattered Bride yet. I think that's one I've tried to watch, and I think it's been difficult for me to find it. It's like it'll be streaming and then it won't be streaming, and then it's on Tubi now. Okay, so I guess I gotta watch that like fucking tonight before it goes away again. Laura does mention when she starts showing symptoms of being fed upon by a vampire that the other victims died in 3 days. Bertha only lasts about a week. True. They also do start taking measures that I think help Laura a little bit when Laura starts to kind of show signs that she's being fed upon. They do, like, the people around her start taking more precautions too that I think help stave that off a little bit also. Valerie and her Week of Wonders. The heck? I didn't know that was. How many adaptations? See, it's going to take me my entire life to watch all of these, seriously. And the fact that people still talk about Dracula more is so infuriating. I think I've seen every film version of Carmilla other than a really hard to see Portuguese made for TV version. Holy shit. Bowing down to you. Oh my God. I feel like I need to be writing these down. I mean, I could just find them on the internet, but still. Big content warning for sexual assault in. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. In case anybody else hasn't seen it and wants to watch it too. Thank you. Terror in the Crypt. Did I see that one? I might have. Oh, you are brilliant. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go get your Letterboxd right now and drop it in the chat. I have time to say no, it's not okay, because I will check before I share it. You brilliant, brilliant being. There it is. Look at that. And in chronological order. Look at you. Please do. Okay. Here's the list specifically, and then you can make sure you follow Martin on Letterboxd also. And I am saving this list. And I can come back to that later. Thank you for sharing that. And it's in chronological order too. We love to see it. We love to see it. Oh yeah, like a Google Doc. It'll be like the lesbian master doc, but the Carmilla master doc. Get on it, Martin. We're waiting on you. But I love that it's in chronological order. That's amazing. Yeah, the very last one on Martin's list, if you see, that's the one that's like not really vampires, but I thought it was quite a good adaptation. Hyperfixation. And we appreciate you for it. It's benefiting all of us right now. Okay. I feel like I don't know, actually. I don't know. You guys could have like thought like as a book this was not as good, but what did you guys rate Carmilla, I guess? As a vampire story, I'm kind of like, it's, it was okay. I could have had more. I could have been okay with more. Oh, Dad asked me to do because I will do it. Like in writing, like your writing one that you've been releasing. Oh, as a comic. I'm sorry, you literally just answered it right after. My bad. My bad, my bad. I should have read literally your next comic. Is it somewhere I can link really fast? I don't know if you're able to share links in the chat, but if you can, go ahead and link it. If not, just tell me where to go. Yeah, if it'll let you, I don't think I have restrictions on that. Go ahead and drop the link for sure. Please do. 10 out of 10. I'm a sucker for a story about isolation and queer identity. My entire existence. 5 out of 5, the OG. Okay. Yeah, I felt like it was pretty apparent. Everybody loved it. Yeah. I was waiting for somebody to be like, like, I just didn't like the way it was written, though. So, like, 2 out of 5. Okay, while I'm waiting for that link to drop, in case anybody wants to check out the comic, also, just let me know if it won't let you share it or something, and I can share it. I don't think I have restrictions on it. Really quick, what we're reading in November is also a short book, and it's only the one, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. Definitely not required, but if you also want to read the Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, this is apparently a retelling or inspired by that short story. So that's what we're reading for November. And just a quick reminder, December's book will be The Last House on Needless Street. So is it going to let you? If you can't get the link before the stream ends, just send it to me somewhere, like a DM or an email or something, and I will share it so I can make sure people can find it. I feel like the members of this book club could never dislike a book like Carmilla. That's true. I don't know. It'd be valid, if somebody just wants to like really like dig on the writing or something. Oh, I didn't see it. Did I miss it? Hold on, maybe it's just not showing in here. Maybe it's on. I was trying to see if it got held like for review or something, but I don't see it. Okay, yeah. Just DM it to me and I'll pop it in the chat real quick before it ends. Also, while that's happening, I will post the link. What else has everybody been reading this month? Anybody read anything interesting in October that you want to share? Since I already went over next month's read, and I'll wait for that DM to come through and then I'll share it. October was not a great. I read our 2 picks and that's about it. I did get a lot of cool arcs from Tor though, so hey, thank you. Cool. Okay, now can I just copy it right from there? Nope. Okay. Hang on. And there we go. Copy. That's what I wanted. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do this from my phone, and we might hear myself talk for a second really quick. Nope. Okay, there we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, that should have gone through. There you go. Okay, so that is Karnstein's comic, which looks awesome. I had to click on it to at least share it. I couldn't just copy it directly, so I can see the like covers of each one. That's awesome. Everybody's so talented. I love you guys. That's really cool. So thank you for letting us share that also. Slow reading From Below by Darcy Coates. I've only read one Darcy Coates when she was like really taken off at Barnes and Noble. There was like some booksellers that really got behind her books. I read one, and that was about it. She's got a lot. Currently reading Every Heart is a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. Shauna Maguire is a great one. Slash Mira Grant. It's the same person. Into the Drowning Deep, which we did read for a Creepy Book Club, was also fantastic. Read the first 2 books in Kirsten White's Sinister Summer. Oh, middle grade series. Cute. Okay. First is about a goth water park. Say less. I love that. Read all the books I plan to read this month. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Love that. Carrie, Rosemary's Baby, The Omen. I love that you made me read Carrie. Like you were just, I had to read Carrie with you, and I finished it before you. And The Omen. Can you guess which was my favorite? I don't know. I didn't hear you talk about any of the other ones, like in our Discord or anything. I don't know. Which one is your favorite? I would guess Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, because that would probably be my favorite of those. Because you were telling me to read it. Okay, you have some guesses, Marielle. Rosemary's Baby, Carrie. I thought Carrie was just okay. I thought it was just okay. You're reading Long Way to a Sparky Planet. I fucking love that book. I love that book so much. I cannot wait for you to read that, Martin. If you don't absolutely love it and think it's the coziest book ever, ultimately that's okay, but maybe don't tell me, because it might break my heart a little bit. I fucking love Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I love that you're reading that for a class. Where is this queer lit class, and where can I take it? Are there online options? I will pay to just be in this class. Well, your favorite was Rosemary's Baby. Okay. Really is a character with personality and feelings. Everything is better in the book. That's true most of the time, I feel like. So excited. I'm excited for you to read it. I love that book so much. I can't wait for you to read it. Sorry, I got really giddy about that. Really giddy. Ooh, okay. We went for talking about 2 smaller books. I feel like we went for a longer time. We really went off on Carmilla there. It was fun reading 2 smaller books. We'll definitely have to try it again in the future for sure. I'm sure the teacher wouldn't mind getting paid. I would happily pay the teachers. Like, just let me hang out in this class, please. I'll drop it one more time. If you want to save it, I'll share it other places too. But if you guys have any suggestions for what you want to read, Creepy Book Club 2023, you can leave it there. Obviously, you guys get first dibs. I'll probably wait a couple of days before I share it anywhere else, because I want to hear what you guys want to read first before like the internet in general, and then people drop suggestions and then don't come to Creepy Book Club. which is fine, I guess. Uh, but start thinking about it so we can get voting on it. That way we don't fall too behind in January. But yeah, thanks for a great discussion. I was really excited to talk about these two because as soon as I finished them both, I'm like, cool. We've barely even scratched the surface. We got so excited about the gay stuff, okay? We got too excited about the gay stuff. But we can all have a chill month. We're just reading one smaller book in November so we can relax a little bit after the Halloween hangover. But thank you guys for coming to Creepy Book Club as always. I really appreciate it. I really look forward to these streams so much. So I do appreciate you guys being here genuinely and participating. Even when you guys haven't read the book, it's always a fun time. I'm looking forward to next month's talking with you. I'm really looking forward to The Last House on Needless Street. You guys have no idea. Have a good night. To all of my peeps in the United States, enjoy that extra hour of sleep tonight. And I will talk to you guys soon. Good night. Good day. Bye. Love you.